traditional Essenes. He calculated that the scrolls could have been deposited at Qumran any time between then and the end of the second revolt in Judea, the rebellion of Simon Bar Kochba between AD 132 and 135. He was scathing about the scholarship of the international team as exemplified especially by De Vaux. Roth and Driver were both famous, acknowledged heavyweights in their respective historical fields, who could not be ignored or cavalierly dismissed. Their prestige and their learning could not be impugned or discredited, neither could they be isolated, and they were too skilled in academic controversy to put their own necks into a noose as Allegro had done. They were, however, vulnerable to the kind of patronizing condescension that De Vaux and the international team closing ranks in their consensus, proceeding to adopt Roth and Driver, August though they might be, were portrayed as out of their element in the field of Qumran scholarship. Thus De Vaux, reviewing Driver's book in 1967, wrote, "It is a sad thing to find here once more this conflict of method and mentality between the textual critic and the archaeologist, the man at his desk, and the man in the field. Not, of course, that De Vaux spent very much time in the field himself. As we have seen, he and most others on the international team were content to remain ensconced in their scrollery, leaving the bulk of the field work to the Bedouin. But the scrollery, it might be argued, was at least closer to Qumran than was Oxford. Moreover, De Vaux and his team could claim first-hand familiarity with the entire corpus of Qumran texts, which Roth and Driver denied access to. Those texts could not, and while Roth and Driver had questioned the international team's historical method, they had not actually confronted its excessive reliance on archaeology and paleography. Archaeology and paleography appeared to be the team's strengths, allowing De Vaux to conclude his review on the Judean scrolls by stating confidently and definitively that Driver's theory is impossible. He could also, by invoking archaeology and paleography, dazzle other figures in the field and effectively hijack their support. Thus, Professor Albright was persuaded to weigh in against driver whose thesis Albright declared has failed completely. Its failure, Albright went on, derived from an obvious skepticism with regard to the methodology of archaeologists, numismatists, and paleographers. Of course, he, driver, had the bad luck to run into head-on collision with one of the most brilliant scholars of our day, Roland de Vaux. Moving on to the offensive, the international team and their colleagues continued to bombard Roth and Driver with increasingly